All right, YouTube. Figured I'd make a video on what happens when you get a break like this. Now, this is pretty tragic. It was a longer blade, so I can get 2 points out of it. And I think the reason why this broke was in part my fault, but also this particular piece of coral isn't super dense. It's like light as a feather. And there are these tiny little seams and cracks, and looks like that one went right into where this broke. And sometimes when you have some cortex looking areas, I don't know, it just felt lighter than typical. So in part it was my fault, certainly. And we're gonna fix it. We're gonna fix it together. So I'm gonna put down my big bopper, gonna pick up a tinier bopper, and that way it doesn't shock the piece nearly as much. I'm thinking about making a Hernando. I haven't made a Hernando in I don't know how long. We still have some decent size on this particular point, so I'm gonna go for it. Now we need to chop off this on the base. Just gotta be done. Okay. Now, Hernandos are interesting. Pretty much as a preform, you want a nearly flat base. Nearly flat. Doesn't have to be right angles or anything as the base meets the sides. But similar to an Abbey point, that's probably a good comparison. An Abbey point, which is a deep south point you find a lot down here in Alabama, Georgia, Florida. You want to have a similar preform. Or maybe that's just a good cue for me. Might not be a good cue for you. Like in the gym, here's what I mean by cue. Like there are some muscles as you're working, like, let's say like your outside shoulders there, whatever they're called. Lateral delts, something like that. Sometimes you can't feel them when you do the normal movements. But when you give yourself a cue, like, hey, pretend like you're raising your arm this way, or angle your wrist this way. Like those mental cues can kind of help you feel the muscle contract as you're in the gym. Weird comparison, but it's kind of true. There are certain cues you can think about as you're working the stone to say, oh yeah, I remember that from last time. It does better when I hit on this side rather than the other. You know, just mental stuff where you can start growing in your, putting knowledge in your mental bank for later. So you're like, oh yeah, okay. When I work at Hillsborough, I kind of make the same shape as an Abbey preform. Okay. So not necessarily a completely flush back base, but close, you know. Just something close. And if you never made an Abbey before, well, I suggest you should. It's pretty neat looking point. Ton of them down here, authentic ones you can find. In fact, one of the last points I found was an Abbey point. It was fire popped. But it was an artifact. And no, I will not tell you where. It was private property. I was with a buddy of mine. But yeah, this is definitely a smaller smaller point than I typically make. But hey, I mean, it's pretty material. I don't want it to go to waste, don't want to sell it or anything, so I'm just gonna make a smaller type Florida point. And Hillsborough came to mind. Anytime you get like a bad break right here, immediately I start thinking of points that have a wide base like this. You know, I wouldn't immediately think of a stem point because you're getting rid of a lot of this. You know, think of like a citrus or a clay point or a Kirk corner, something where you can maintain the length of what you got. In this case, we're rocking and rolling with a nice Hillsborough preform. Now I got an example here. I like to have a little example as I'm napping. I haven't always done that, but the past couple videos I have. So I've got a Hillsborough example. It's a real one. Here in front of me on my iPad. Now, if you're flint napping, you don't need to buy an iPad to, you know, you can buy a book or something to have. You know what I'm getting at. But I'm lucky enough to have one where I can blow the picture up and, if I need to, have it right in front of me. But typically I'll make points without reference. I don't feel like I need a reference all the time. Unless it's a point I hadn't made too often, like a Hillsborough, and I'll pull it out. Because there are certain little things you can kind of discern from a photo. You know, it's like, oh yeah, that's how a Hillsborough is made, but there might be a slight swoosh or a certain angle that is unique. It's like, oh yeah, I could do that. And that would make it look really cool. Undercut a lot of mess right there. Again, I'm just direct percussioning. Is that a word, percussioning? I'm just using direct percussion. I enjoy it. It's a quick way for me to do exactly what I'm trying to do. And for a point like this, most of my percussion scars aren't even gonna show. So my percussion really is just set up for all the pressure work I'm gonna do. And I said all the pressure work like it's gonna be a lot. I mean, it'll be a little bit, but. Anyways, this isn't a commission point. Nobody asked me to make this. I just thought I'd make it. So if you want it, let me know. Assuming I hold it together. Don't want to jinx anything. Okay, the rest of that I'm going to pressure flake, I think. That's some good pressure flaking material. Or platforms right there. Okay. Now on this side, I might leave some of the, you know what? I probably will. I might leave some of the big percussion scars just because why not? Because I can. And anyways, quick little preform. Not crazy thin, but that's what we're working with. Okay. Don't have my sweet tea with me, so that might be my downfall. But let's see what we can do here. All right. Start from the base. Didn't really need to drive in on that one. Now this one I can. It's going into some tough terrain, so whenever it's got to cross some tough terrain, I like to go ahead and give it a little abrading. See that flake right there? It's feathered right on in. Okay. Same thing here. Really wanted that to fly. So here and here. See how it feathers into the big flakes? Big flakes meaning all this out here. That's what I'm going for. Okay. And some I don't need to press in because I don't have the right angle. But if I feel like I do have the right angle and the right convexity, I'll take a risk. Sometimes, like there, the risk pays off. And there are other times where it doesn't. I think an advantage I have as I look back and see some of the points I've made, think back to some of the tips I could give, is I really think about every single strike. Now to y'all, it just look like, oh yeah, he's just kind of going with the flow. But every strike, I'm either pressing in or pressing down, depending on the angle, depending on the convexity. Place right here. Okay. So even though this is, well, it looks amazing on the video, but it's so light. I don't know how to describe it. Sometimes coral will be just as dense as all get out. And then there are other times it's just light, and a lot of that's just because it got, you know, a good amount of heat. And in this case, that's a good thing because Joker held together. Okay, so we did that side. Let's see. Let me do this right here. This right here. Pressed in, pressed in again, pressed in kinda, and now just kinda pressing down. All right. Now, what I just did was press on this face. So I got some scars on this face pressed here. So I'll raise this platform up a little bit, but as we go, it looks like this side doesn't need flakes off this side, it needs flakes off this side because it's a little bit higher than this over here. Higher. So we're going to press off this face. Now you still need to abrade. get me wrong. And that just makes it even higher or lower depending on which side you're looking at. All right, so hope I can catch that on the back side. Had a slight hinge problem there. Might be able to get it here. Maybe. Nope. Got me a big old hinge, that's what I got. Not big, but noticeable. So let me work on this face real quick. Pretty solid. Didn't need much right here. See, I pressed in pretty good right there because I felt like it could take that pressure. This right here is an interesting strike. Same thing with this one. Interesting means I hope it works. Not something I need to take, but something I'm gonna try. Okay, yeah, I'll take it. Nothing mind-blowing there, but not too shabby. Now, I think I can fix our issue. Remember I said there's this massive hinge? That's what I'm talking about. It ain't nothing. But I'm trying to get it out. I'm trying to get it out from the way it came first. I think I can. Ooh, maybe not. Or maybe so. Check and make sure. Yeah, we got it. Oh yeah, we did good. Remember, all this is pretty much just pressure cooling. Not any direct here, no indirect, at least not for me. Just some good old pressure work. Did we cause a hint? No, we didn't. I was like, surely not. That felt good. Looks like this is the side that needs it the most. Needs the pressure work the most. So we're gonna give it a little bit of pressure. Yep. Yep. That's it. Now this is the only challenging part is this strike right here. This runs into some of that holy stuff. I'm gonna really abrade that thing. I think it'll work. Yeah, it works. Now one more little area here that I kind of want to strike, but I don't know if it'll let me. It's kind of on the edge here. This might not be good, but it'd just be a feather flake if anything. Yeah, there we go. That's enough. What'd you say, Pete? Alright, let's do about the same thing on this side. And be close to where we want to be. Hopefully, yeah, y'all are able to see. Like, I do this for y'all, so if y'all can't see, I don't nap for you guys. Well, okay, you could take that in two ways. Like, I nap because I enjoy it, but I'm napping on film because I care about you guys. So, not doing it for the fame or the fortune. Doing it because I love making arrowheads, and I feel like I got some decent tips to produce some nice pressure work like that, where you still get a little bit of that broad percussion strike look to it. Now let's see if we can replicate it on this side. We'll be done with pressure work. And that's the key. Trying to make it symmetrical. Trying to have everything look the way it needs to be. We got one side wrapped up beautifully. Now we got this other side. See, convexity is just on point with that side. This side is pretty good. We got a little bit of flat area there. And in those areas, we're just gonna kind of feather it in real low, real light. But that's the kind of, I mean, that's what we're looking for. Just like that. But on this side. Okay. Now that we've established what we're looking for, let's see if we can do it. And really, this side doesn't need too awful much. Anyways. Really, most of this is just going to be light feathering, I think. Because we're looking pretty solid. There we go. Yeah, I won't have to dig in too deep on our width here. Just gonna press in some areas and press down in some areas. Like there, I pressed in a little bit. There, I pressed in a little bit. Here, I pressed in somewhat. Down, 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 in, down, down, a little bit in there, and in towards the tip. Okay, so I mean, not crazy, but we feathered into our broad strikes. All right, let's do this other side here. Looking good. There we are. Now it's getting that convex look. And by convex, I say that a lot. I don't want this point to look like it was just slab napped. I want there to be some curvature. I mean, some heft. I mean, I can make them thin. Let me pull out my indirect stick. I mean, I'd show you, but this allows it to have some natural looking convexity. And I personally just like it that way. Everybody else has their opinion, that's cool. But, everybody naps their own way, you know? This is what I like, and I feel like it's the best way in replicating authentic points, but at least deep south points. I'm gonna get myself into trouble saying that, but maybe you guys know what I'm trying to say. Pretty much solid. I mean, that's pretty good right there. Let me sharpen this tip real quick. We're back. And we got our preform, I guess you could say. And I won't even tidy up the edges yet. Let me fool around with the base. Let me see what I need to do with the base first. All right. Okay. So, you know what? I just sharpened this tip up so that I could do the edges. So I'm gonna put it to the side. I got a little bit more blunted tip on this indirect. and for basically crushing the edge to kind of get my shape here. I don't mind using it. One bit. Y'all see what I'm doing? Y'all gotta tell me if you can. So pretty much from the corner here, now you see what shape we started with. You look at it there, it's like slightly rounded, slightly curved, not like straight up flat, but it's got kind of a curve. Okay, so we're trying to chew away, leaving this edge there, kind of working our way in. And I tell you what, I've got a braider here that I like. And I think I might employ and use. Let me put this down here. Put that right here. And for this fragile coral, I'm gonna use that instead. Okay. And you don't have to abrade every single pass you do, but to get clean breaks, to guarantee clean breaks, you may not guarantee clean terminations. That just depends on, you know, skill and setting up where you're at. That varies depending on the stone. But I do kind of prefer abrading it. Just a preference. I will admit, I kind of crushed that edge a bit. Not a huge deal, to be honest. Okay, now I know that's not the middle of the point. Okay, I get that. But I was just being a little bit conservative there. So let me start on this side. Yep, I knew that'd kind of terminate weird. Anybody got a guess what the display side will be? Both of them. Trick question. We only make double-sided display sides. I said side twice. Two-sided display points over here. That's all we make. If it ain't gonna be nice on both sides, it goes in the discard pile. We only make good ones over here. Little to no hinges is what I shoot for. Don't always get that. I try. There we are. That was nice. Okay, now we're getting a little bit finessey. Is that a word? Getting to be a little bit more finesse with things, so let me make sure this base is actually symmetrical. It'd be bad if it wasn't. People like, well, I shouldn't say people like symmetrical points. Jason Newman makes some incredible Texas points that are not symmetrical. And there are blades that just are naturally unsymmetrical. Levy blades, for example, aren't always exactly 100% symmetrical because they were used. Okay. Now I left myself a lot of room there so I can narrow this base down a bit. Okay, still got some room to work. Just doing some minor adjusting here. And we're starting to get the shape I'm looking for here. Now there are some little holes here in the base I need to be careful about. Hey buddy, you about ready to go in, Pete? You know what? I'm about ready too. I'm about ready, you know? Oh no! Ah, it's all right. fragile material. I wasn't careful enough. And that can happen. But not to fear. Because I'm gonna match it on the other side anyways. Luckily, I'm not doing too much banging with the direct percussion stick, so my dog Pete's here able to chill out with me a little bit. He doesn't like the loud banging. Makes sense. Neighbors probably don't either. Luckily, my neighbors aren't too close, though, so it's not terrible. We're getting to a close here. Okay, base is pretty much wrapped up. So let me slightly abrade the edges and complete the point. Okay, I'm gonna need to sharpen this for sure this go round. Pete, it's okay, buddy. It's okay. Good job. Good job. Okay, gonna need to do some pressure work. Get the little pad here. Pressing slightly in, but mostly down. And I'm going to do 4 passes. One on this side, flip it, do the same thing on this side. Just micro serrations. I mean, nothing crazy here. As I'm working around this curved edge, it's a little difficult trying to gauge how far, because I'm working on symmetries as well, so I'm doing two things at once. Have you ever tried to draw a perfect circle? And just fail miserably? Well, that's kind of how I feel about working curved edges. I mean, you're trying to get it the exact curve on both sides, and you're able to make micro adjustments along the way, but especially in the beginning, it can seem like an impossible task. But I think we did pretty good right there. You know what? I'll take that. And I gotta do this side. And sharpen. Okay, got one more side to do, and then we'll be pretty much done. Where's my pressure pad at? I must have laid it up there somewhere. Oh, it's back here. Okay, so we got one more side to do here. Trying to get it symmetrical. So we finished on that side, started on this one, I think. Yeah. Sorry, doing some mental gymnastics there, thinking of how I did the other edge. If I started on one side, on one edge, I'd like to start on that same side. So that everything, I don't know if that makes any sense. Take for instance, I went 2 passes on this edge, bottom, top. Well, when I get to this edge, I want to mimic the same thing, bottom, top. You know, I don't want to mix it up because I might get different flakes on different sides. I don't know, maybe it's just a nitpicky thing. I shouldn't have made that corner so sharp because it's digging into my hand. Notice we're taking really small, minute flakes. Or tiny as we go by. I'm not just doing boom, 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 and we're done. We're doing multiple tiny pressure releases here. Okay, go back on this side, do the same thing. And I can always go back and do some final looking over, final adjustments if need be. So although this is my last pass for like actually getting the flake scars I need. Ooh, it broke right there. I think we're okay. The edge gave in a little bit. Gave in a little there too. Have to come back, fix that on the other side. But maybe this video intrigues you, maybe it doesn't. But I know many people have asked about making smaller points. Can you make a smaller point? Like, what's my process? Well, same kind of process on every point I make, pretty much. It's just on a smaller scale. So now I'm making some minor tweaks, making sure my symmetry is right and that I don't have any weird deltas. And my dog's just here chilling with me. Okay, now I got a weird spot here I need to fix. Kind of a low area near the tip. Bear with me here. Just thought about this, but Pete probably thinks it's pretty weird I'm just talking to myself. Unless he thinks I'm talking to him. In which case it wouldn't be that weird. I kind of gave it a needle tip. I'm gonna simmer down that needle. It doesn't need to be that crazy. That's perfect right there. That's good. Okay. Now I want to tidy up. Now these ears are fragile. We need to be really careful. Okay, I think that'll about do it. I think Pete's about ready to call it too. You starting to sprinkle out there? This needs to come up a hair more. So this here is proof that I can make small points. But it is official. All right, let me braid this thing up and we'll be done. Looks like in a little less than an hour. Of course, we already started with somewhat of a preform anyway, so a little bit more than an hour. Yeah, that'll do it. You got clean terminations everywhere. It's not even a hinge, really. Yeah. Fernando. Finished up. Not too bad. I think it's pretty nice. Probably gonna display this side. It's really pretty. Get this light to shine over here. I don't know if that's any better to see, but anyways, move this off, get a good thumbnail. And call it. Well, appreciate y'all watching. This is a three and 7/8 inch point. Sorry, I wasn't mathing right today, so I had to think about it. But pretty cool. Pretty cool. Oh, there's a bug on me. Anyways, I'm gonna get my dog inside and I'm gonna end this just before it reaches an hour. So thank y'all for watching. Leave a comment down below if you want to, if I did something wrong or did something right. And if you want me to make you a point, shoot me an email at the email listed below. All right, y'all take care.